All right. The next 30 minutes, we're going to cover these topics. Occupant Protection Advisory Board, statewide pre- and post-observational safety belt surveys, the Florida Highway Safety Grants. Andrea had wanted me to talk a little bit with you guys about developing performance indicators for our grants that we have in our office. So I'm going to touch on that some. Then we're also going to touch a little bit more. Chief Bodenheimer gave you guys a little primer about the Strategic Highway Safety Plan. I'm going to touch on that a little bit more as well. And then we've got a new Transportation Act, a new law that went into effect in December. We're going to cover that a little bit. And then, as I shared earlier, we're going to have a tag team effort. Danielle King and Dr. Lee will provide you guys with some injury data and some data resources. Any questions so far? Good. Statewide observational survey. Wait a minute. Okay. Now let's say that for a minute. I want to touch on the Occupant Protection Advisory Board first. Something that's coming up in my office here during November, not November, but during March 6th through the 11th is a huge effort in my office. It's an Occupant Protection NHTSA assessment. NHTSA is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and they're bringing a team of 6 experts from around the nation to take a look at Florida's occupant protection efforts. So we've brought in, we have a lot of folks that we're going to bring in to Tallahassee to talk and be interviewed by this expert team to see how we're doing and how we can get better. And I'm looking at this as an educational opportunity. This is the first time Florida has had an occupant protection assessment, so this is a good place to find out and give us a good baseline of where we're at and where we want to go. I think we've done some great things since my arrival in the FDOT Safety Office in 2007. We have done some amazing things, and we'll cover some of that. But the NHTSA assessment, in preparation for this assessment, we found out that in 2006, which Dr. Wilson and I did not know, that we had a management review that came down from NHTSA because Florida, for 3 years in a row, did not have an increase in their safety belt use rates. So as a result, that warranted a special review. So NHTSA came down to see what we were doing and made some recommendations on how we could get better. And one of the recommendations that we did not know until recently, because we just saw this report, was that they recommended that Florida implement an occupant protection advisory board or a coalition or a committee or something to make decisions about occupant protection efforts here in the state of Florida. Well, that's what we're going to do. Something that I wanted to share with you guys today is that we plan to develop an occupant protection advisory board, and I'm going to reach out to some of you guys in this room to be part of that effort, not only to get your expertise, because community traffic safety teams, if you don't know, when they initially started, was occupant protection efforts that they initially focused on, child passenger safety and seatbelts. Well, we're bringing that back around full circle again. You guys do a lot more than that now, but we're also going to bring that occupant protection piece back into a point where at every coalition meeting like we're having today, we'll get a 10 or 15 minute update on what the occupant protection efforts are in Florida, what's going on, and all that good stuff. And it'll benefit all of us. We're going to allow, it gives you guys an opportunity to see what some of the stuff we're doing in my office as far as who's getting grants. I plan on sharing that type of information with you, with that committee, to make sure that I'm making decisions that are good for the state of Florida and meeting the goals that we established in the Strategic Highway Safety Plan. So that's something that's going to be occurring. It's going to be occurring real soon. I'll be reaching out to folks here probably within the next 3 or 4 months to get this established. And Dr. Willis and I are quite sure that when the assessment team leaves, one of the recommendations they're going to have is that we have this board in place. So we're going to make sure we discuss that with the team, that this is our plan, and this is how we plan to correct this deficiency. Any questions on that? Yes, sir?
Hey, sir, as you're looking at it, the part I'm interested in is school buses. We still have buses on the road without seatbelts, number one. We've got lap belts out there right now, and there's debates about the effectiveness of the road and motor vehicle crashes and the like. And then the industry is slowly moving over to 3-point harness systems on the buses. It's an option now, but it's not required. And the statute, as you read it, says every child that rides a public school bus shall wear their seatbelt. But then it goes on to say, however, no one responsible for the transport of a child can be held accountable, liable if they don't. And so the real application of it is, I can speak for our county, but you get on a school bus on any given day, you'll see a variation.
Yes.
And so,
That's statewide.
right,
That's not, that's what your county.
we crack down real hard on elementary school age buses, of course.
The only county I know that has requirements for safety belts on all their buses is St. Lucie County. And recently, I'm glad you mentioned that, because recently I was just asked to, and it got canceled because DC had that 26 or 30 inches of snow. There was a school bus transportation meeting where they were asking there's 6 states in the nation that have safety belt school bus laws. Florida happens to be one of them. And they had asked a state rep and some of the local district folks like yourself to come up and share what Florida is doing to protect our most precious cargo, our children. And I'm sure out of recommendations from that meeting that there's going to be some discussion how we need to find out how to make this mandatory across the board. Right now, it's just not going to happen because of funding issues.
Right.
But as more buses come into the fleet, they'll be prepared, they'll be equipped with that particular equipment. So it's just a funding issue. Sir?
I'm curious, if it's not funding, I see operational issues. I mean, on the one hand, you just finished talking about child seat.
Yes, sir.
On a school bus, kids of all different sizes sit all over the place. And even with adjustable harness, there'd be lighting time consumed by adjusting how many seatbelt straps at one stop and then repeating on the next stop. Spend hours trying to get to school compared to the time that if it was done right.
I don't
Like I said,
But
that's the operational aspect of it.
And that's probably handled by a different office, to be perfectly honest with you. That doesn't fall under my umbrella. The Department of Education has a transportation,
Right, yeah.
Heidi Warrington, I believe, or Jamie
Right,
Warrington
Jamie,
is that
yeah.
guy. So he's, that's the one who makes all the decisions on what's going on with the school buses. So,
So this survey won't target the buses per se?
No, sir.
Okay.
No. I only knew that a little bit just based on the information, just because I was tabbed to go to that meeting because Jamie wasn't able to go at the last minute. But I understand your concern, and that's correct. Any other questions? Or concern? Okay. Statewide pre- and post-observational seatbelt surveys. We're going to have the pre-observational survey has taken place this year, the last 2 weeks of March. And that's good information to know. But what I really want you guys to know is when the post survey is, because that's the number that's going to really count, is the post survey. The post survey is going to happen right after the Click It or Ticket National Enforcement Wave. The enforcement wave is May 23rd through June 5th. Then the second and third week of June is when the post-observational safety belt surveys will occur. So we got to make sure we hammer home that message to buckle up prior to that 2-week period in June. And with the enforcement period, they're going to have a whole lot of education and maybe some smaller pocketbooks if they don't wear the seatbelts. But
What was the date for the post?
the post survey is going to happen right after the end of the enforcement period, which is June 5th. So we're looking at the second and the third week of June. Now, it would be just terrible of me if I didn't take this opportunity to recognize some folks in here about safety belt use. Dr. Willis, could I get you and Andrea to come up here, please? For the last 2 years, and Andrea assured, not Andrea, but Dee Dee, Dr. Willis assured me that last year they were going to have the highest safety belt use rate in the state. And she was very accurate with it. They had last year in 2014, they had the Alachua County folks, stand up please too, be recognized.
Come on. Get up.
For 2014 and for 2015, the last 2 years we did statewide surveys, Alachua County had the highest safety belt use rate in the state of a 94.6%. And as a result, my supervisor, holy cow, oh here it is. On a photo with nothing in it. But my supervisor and I thought it would be very awesome to share with you guys a certificate of appreciation and recognition of the outstanding dedication and commitment of having the highest safety belt use rate in the state, presented to the Alachua County Community Traffic Safety Team on this day, February 10th.
Cool.
Signed by myself. Good job, guys.
You get it? Hold on, can I stand up for
Good
a photo
team.
with Ralph?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
But that is some wonderful work, and I encourage all the other CTSTs to do the same thing. And the way Dr. Willis got the message out is the boots on the ground. We found out that that's the way to do it. You got to be able to get out there and share the message about buckling up.
Yay.
Good job, team.
And look, I even recognize you on the slide. All right, the next thing, and I got to be a little bit quicker here. I'm not going to go over this whole slide, but it's performance indicators. And Andrea wanted me to discuss this with you really quick. If you're applying for a grant in my office, you have to have performance indicators as part of your grant application. And what a performance indicator does is just makes you keep yourself on track. First of all, you need to identify what your goal is for your particular grant that you're trying to obtain. And we're going to use this as the example. The CTST Coalition wants to have their goal is to have 4 face-to-face meetings a year. Now, your performance indicators are used as measures to make sure you reach that goal. Now, every quarter in our office, we require a quarterly report to be done. That includes your performance indicators, where you're at for that particular quarter, and then a narrative on what you've done in that quarter. Now, every quarter, what you're going to put in there, if your goal was to have 4 meetings a month, then your first performance indicator is going to be to have one every quarter to have a face-to-face meeting. That's a performance indicator. It has to be measurable, and that's it. I was looking at Danielle to see if I missed anything. Danielle is in my office too, so if you guys want to know anything about grants after we're done, the traffic safety grants, she or I can certainly help you out with that. But the performance indicators are really simple. They need to be measurable, and they have to help you reach your goal in the intervals that you decide at the beginning of the grant cycle. So in our case, it's every quarter. If you guys got something different that you're working on, you may want to do something monthly, but that's something you got to figure out on your end. But if you want a grant from our office, you have to do it quarterly. And there's more information on this slide that has a better description of everything, but Angela's going to place this out on our website. You guys can get that later. The essence of time. The Florida 2016-2020. Who believe that 2020? It's just saying that makes me sound kind of weird. I thought we just got into the 2000s. But we're updating, as Chief Bodenheimer had indicated, we're updating our strategic highway safety plan. It's that time of year, or it's that time again when we got to develop a new one. And as Laura Hollingsworth shared a couple years ago in a meeting in Andrea's building, that she was going to do a change to the strategic highway safety plan to make occupant protection an emphasis area. Right now, it's just a continued emphasis area. But the emphasis area, it has much more impact on how we do business with that particular traffic safety program area. But this year, we're going to have, this strategic highway safety plan will have occupant protection as an emphasis area. And Laura plans on reaching out. And Laura plans on reaching out to some of you guys in this room to help out with developing the strategies and the goals to reach those strategies. The strategies to reach those goals for the occupant protection effort that we're going to put into the strategic highway safety plan. So that is good news for all of us. It gives us a lot more.